Welcome to MeatballCraft, episode 23. Today we've got to finish off crafting the Tree of Life multi-block, as well as getting into a fusion reactor and maybe also a bit of chickens. While I've been waiting for things to craft, mainly the quartz dust and these, I have made a very ugly, very random little setup to open scrap boxes. I'm going to increase the roof a little bit. I don't want everything flying everywhere, but it seems to still be doing it. So this is just a bunch of mechanical users, right-clicking, generic click, right-click, random slot. It's the default setting that they come on. And they're just opening scrap boxes for me. Scrap comes from our UV matter system. We have a backlog because I've been importing it into the system for a while. And we get lots of random rubbish from opening the scrap boxes. I mean, maybe I should filter. I might try and do some filtering, because otherwise I think there's actually quite a lot of rubbish that you can get from this, which I probably don't really want. Boats, for example. I'll keep whatever we've got so far. Oh, water cells would be really good. Yeah, so there's some really kind of useful stuff, which I don't mind having, and there's lots of stuff I kind of actually don't want. So I'm going to change the system up a teeny tiny bit so that I'm collecting into a crate and filtering and not just into the storage system. Okay, I've been fiddling about with this for a while. I've had to reduce the amount of mechanical users just because I can't extract from the crate fast enough. I've got 4 exporters full upgrades and I just can't do it fast enough if I had more than 3. So I filtered some of the items I want to keep in big item filter. That's why I've got 2 inputs because I couldn't fit them all in. Probably missing a few things, but that's fine. I'm sure if it comes up, I can change it later. We've got all the important stuff like the alamite forks and a bunch of the dust from Tech Reborn that might be useful, like plutonium, and I think we've got stuff like red garnet dust and the yellow garnets. I think I got the actual red garnet. Yeah, so that's good because they're quite annoying to get otherwise. And this should be pretty automated now. Everything else goes into the trash can on a lower priority, and these are both higher priorities just so that they don't get lost. So that should be fine, I think. I know it's not very pretty, but I mean, I'll put it somewhere nicer in the future and hopefully we can get some good items. This also keeps setting on fire. I don't know why. I literally just sorted out like 5 seconds ago. I don't know if it's one of the mobs, but it is quite irritating. And now we should be able to craft enough innerved skystone. Perfect. I think we need 152. We've got 156. So let's just double check. Yep, that's perfect. So now we have everything to make the Tree of Life. So we now have the Tree of Life. This is slimy grass. I know it doesn't look like slimy grass, but when the controller placed it down, it just became slimy dirt. So don't know why that is, but yes, this is the Tree of Life. The structure is fully complete, structure found. And now we can just connect up the eggs and get tons of energy. I've grabbed a stack of energy eggs. They seem to last a fair little bit of time, so this should be producing energy. Oh, disable the limit, 1,000,000 RF per tick. And I've got 2 plugs. I don't know. Oh, this is on the wrong network anyway. Okay, it doesn't matter. It just seems to be coming out of the one. So let's see what this has done to our energy production. We are now making 1.8 million RF per tick. So it's now gone from a year to fill this up to 66 days. Mind you, that tree powers 1 plasmatic condenser. No more, no less. So we will probably have to have other energy sources to supplement that. Plus the totemic power will increase with the more miners. But it is actually a very good source of energy, especially for now in the game, and completely free because of the energy eggs. So I just need to set up an ender chest, so they're in. We've already got a backlog of about 7,000, so I don't think we'll have any problems. Now that we have the Tree of Life, our next step is to get it into fusion. And fusion is required for draconic tech, as we need to make tritium crystals through a crystallizer. And to get tritium, we need the fusion reactor. To get the tritium from it, we can use lithium and hydrogen, which I haven't actually looked at, so this potentially is possible. Yeah, we just need to melt the lithium, I think, for that. So that's one way to do it. The other way is through deuterium, which we also get through fusion reaction. We also get some from the electrolyzing of water, but I think this gets us a lot more. So I'll have to have a look and see what is easiest. I don't know what else we would need tritium for. A few other things, so it's probably good to have a good reserve. So we'll either go the hydrogen way and make 2, or the lithium way and make 1. But before we do that, vibranium is probably quite quickly going to become a problem. So to remedy that, I think we need to make some more eggs. All of the ingots from the dimensions we've just travelled to with the warp stones should all have eggs. Maybe not fluctuatite, because that is a... oh no, it does have an egg. Yes, there is a fluctuatite chicken, which we can make, and that produces fluctuatite eggs. And if we put that in an induction smelter with one of the garnets, we can make fluctuatite ingots. If we cut the garnet, eventually it'll make a bit more, but this seems easier than the normal recipe, which is, yeah, making it in the plasmatic condenser. So I think we should be working on some eggs at the moment, just for the resources, which are a little bit harder to get. Not only do they have eggs for the ingots from the different dimensions, but they do have eggs for some of the Divine RPG and Advent of Ascension ores like Arlemite, Limonite, etc, etc. So if we need to turn off the stone essence system at any point, we can change to eggs. The only issue I've seen with the eggs is the way to actually make these into what the output is for the energetic infuser, which seems a bit strange. I'm sure it wouldn't be that slow, but it's just a bit odd. Since we need a lot of chickens, we need a place to store them all, and this isn't going to cut it. We've only got one space left, and we've got 13 chickens. So where are we going to put it? Welcome to the chicken shed, which might not be the end of the chicken shed. This only provides 16 mechanized coops, and we only need 13, so we'll have 4 spare holes if you count that one. And it is guarded by Laszlo the chicken. Inside, it's all exactly the same. I copy-paste gadgeted the bottom half of the other barn, so each set floor is completely the same and has space for 4 chicken sheds. Thought 4 floors was probably enough. Laszlo agreed. He didn't want to be any higher up. He's actually scared of heights, but he's so big that that's not big for him. He will be there guarding all our chickens, which I have actually completely made. It took a little bit of time just because I was waiting for the plasmatic dense plasma to be made, but it's all done. So now our main issue is actually probably petrified wood. Our scrap production is a bit lackluster. I thought when we had about 40,000 it would last a while. Apparently not. So I think we've only got, yes, 39 petrified wood, which only gets us 23, and I can't quite remember how much we need per mechanized coop, but it's a fair amount. It's 26, so we can't even make one with what we have. We can make it in the cold iron forge, which is over here. I don't know if I've actually shown this, but yes, I made this. We've got more nice than that. Nice, whatever it's called. But yes, that's our main bottleneck. So we've got to spend some time making 13 mechanized coops. While I was waiting for the petrified wood to be made in the cold iron forge, I found something that seems quite necessary for efficiency. That is when we use the eggs which are produced by the chickens, we can make, for example, fluctuatite, such as this. And you can do it with a garnet, or you can do it with the cut garnet. And the cut garnet is 4 per garnet, so it's more efficient. And the way to do this without a creation altar is through ender dolomite dust. And to get this, we need to pulverize ender dolomite. And to get ender dolomite, we can do this recipe with endergenic sediment, like so, which is very, very easy except for the middle thing, which is ender dolomite, which we need ender dolomite for. And you think, well, how do we get ender dolomite before we get ender dolomite? Well, you see, it's on Finim, which I actually think is the next warper if we go into the quest book. Finim, here. So it is the next warper, and I think we can actually make it, if I'm not wrong. So I think this would be a good idea to do next. I might have to fight the tier 2 Gaia Guardian again a couple of times. I'm not sure how many greater Gaia spirits we still have left, but that's alright. That won't be too hard, the Wither Rose, etc, etc. I think we need to do that to be able to process the eggs that we'll be making. To begin this, I'm going to be a little inefficient, and I will just be using the garnets, just because... oh well, I did that one wrong. Just because I don't have much of this stuff. Mind you, now I'm going to have to waste a couple more garnets because I messed that up. I'm also going to be making an executive decision, and that will be that I'll be exporting everything in the danks into an ender chest that goes into the system storage. I will be putting a higher priority on for all of the chests which are being supplied by the danks, such as the ones for the token totem and for stuff like ghostly powder, which I don't actually think I need anymore, and the chilies. But apart from that, everything else should just be going into the system. I would just replace this with an ender chest, but I think I would prefer the way I've set this up. I'll probably change it at some point, but the way that's set up, I think it would be good just to slap an ender chest on here. So all the stuff that is in here will then transfer into into the system. I will probably put a filter on to stop the tokens going, and actually that sounds good to me. One of the main reasons I want all this stuff from the resource miners to go into the AE system now is first, well, we still have the storage, we had the storage before, but I'm more competent in the storage. We can make more very easily, but the main reason is for things like the power flowers, which require a lot of resources only from the miners. It's just easier if it's all in one place, so I can just autocraft things like this, especially because we will be wanting to upgrade the power flowers as much as possible in the future, and power flowers require other power flowers, so it's just important to make sure that we can keep on top of automation. I will need to improve things a little bit more as we go. I need to automate a lot of the multi-blocks, which I still haven't done, but I will get around to, especially the gravitite enchanters. It's used to make jeweled runium, which is quite necessary. Luckily for us, we had all the resources we needed pretty easily available, so now we have the Finim warper, and we can go to Finim, and hopefully we can find the endogenic sediment, or the ender dolomite that we need. I think I've got everything I need, including my warper to get back. Mustn't forget that, so let's go to Finim. So this is Finim. It is full of resonant ender and very, very angry ender chickens. Oh dear, I'm gonna have to... Oh god, this seems a bit problematic. Oh well, they die easily. I've had to run away from the ender chickens, but I have found Laszlo's brother. I don't know what he's doing here. Oh gosh, I hope there's no more ender chickens. They're over there, and they're getting teleported and causing terrible amounts of lag. I don't know if these are anything, but it's nice to see Laszlo has a brother. There are a few odd structures around, but they don't seem to have anything in, so I'm just going to ignore them, and I'll just collect some of this stuff before the ender chickens come and get me. To ensure a solid supply of ender dolomite, because we need to make the endogenic sediment, which has EMC, we'll need a singularity. So I've collected over 5,000 so that can be done nice and easily. I'd like to note this is a horrible dimension. I can't stay on the surface or the ender chickens will kill me. They are too numerous and too laggy. It's very difficult to navigate, so hopefully this is all there is here. Otherwise, I'm in big trouble. And we now have our endogenic sediment. Welcome to the jankiest setup I think I've made so far. And it's all about processing eggs. If you go back to the start of the processing line, we have 13 coops, each with a different chicken making dimensional eggs, like gemite, jewelite, etc, etc. One stack of each egg gets put into this ender chest. This is so it can transfer over to the processing system. Garnets are provided through ME interface, which provides the garnets, and a resonant retriever. I have used a resonant retriever because a limited item filter only allows you 5 items, and we need 6. So I've been stuck with this. Ignore the pulverized obsidian, that's from a mistake while I was sorting the system out. It's a little bit slow, but it's fine. Everything gets transferred over to the jankiest system in the world. We have the eggs coming... Oh no, this isn't the eggs. We have the garnets coming through here and the eggs coming through here. Now, this is where the real processing begins. The garnets each get put into a separate crafter. Originally, they were all in one crafter, but you can't round robin a crafter. So some gems were made a lot and some were not made at all. To make the gem, well, to make the garnets cut like this, we need petroleum dust and ender dolomite dust, which all happens behind the scenes. So to make the ender dolomite dust, we have endogenic sediment from one EMC link and ender pearls from another. These go into a crafter to make the ender dolomite, which is pulverized in this pulverizer. Next, we have the petroleum dust. We get the basalt rods and the pulverized obsidian now from this ender chest. Before, everything was coming out of one singular ender chest, which is why there's gaps, because I've had to move things about quite a lot. The basalt rods gets pulverized into basalt powder just for a bit of an increased yield. And the pulverized obsidian we don't need gets put into this void drawer. You get redstone from the EMC link, and this all goes into a crafter which is behind here, which produces petroleum dust. This petroleum dust is extracted and put into one of these 6 crafters. I have put it on round robin. I think now things have filled up. I think our bottleneck is actually the garnets, which are on extract for round robin in both ends. So hopefully we should be getting an even sort of mix of which garnets are coming in and which aren't, but it doesn't really seem to be the case, so I need to work that out of the system. It may be that we do need to just make limited item filters or something like that and round robin it that way, but I'm not sure. I will change it and give it a go. We seem to be just getting a lot of abyss garnets at the moment until these things fill up. And there is a disproportionate amount of eggs for each one, so each induction smelter does one different type of egg, and each one has a different garnet that's required. Procacia needs 4, induction smelters, but stuff like Yeti only needs one, which is why it's disproportionate. This is also on round robin, but it doesn't seem to be doing things very effectively. I seem to be having a bit of a trouble with making things actually extract properly into a good system. So if we need it, we will just change it to have one ender chest per induction smelter, and I'll just tear this whole system down and redo it. You see, we're only getting the charged runium egg seems to be the only one extracting at the moment, despite round robin being on. So I'm not quite sure how that works. Some of these are just full because they don't have the gems. Yeah, I think actually that's why. No, because these ones at the top aren't getting anything, and they're both on insert. Yeah, so it's a bit janky, like I said. It's not really working the way it should be, but anyway, these are processed and they come out and they feed into this ender chest and are stored. All the produce is being stored down here. As you can see, we have a disproportionate amount of things. For example, we have very little Varsium compared to everything else. I think that's because it's split between 3 and the round robin may be favouring the 2 that are below it. But things like Fluctuatite and stuff, we're getting quite a lot of. Charged runium as well. I may have to double check that one. And we have the skull bones from the Picasia dimension as well. So we are getting a lot of things. The system is a bit janky. I will work it out later on. We may have to set up individual crafters and systems for each individual ore and move it somewhere else, but for now we are getting what we want, which is the most important part of the whole thing. I found the problem. We've actually eaten through all the garnets, all the like stack stuff I was doing to try and limit how much was taken out. It didn't really work. I think we've eaten all the garnets up, which is they are used for other things, so it's probably best to turn the system off for now. We have got quite a bit of what we wanted, and it's a bit annoying that we're kind of out of garnets now. Yeah, we have not a single garnet left. Typical, really, isn't it? I thought we had quite a lot before, but yes. Anyway, at least we did it this way, and we didn't just use actual garnets, because at least we've increased them by 4, but that is one of the bottlenecks. We are now out of garnets. Typical. Hopefully we don't need them in the near future. I've been looking a bit through the quest book, and I think before we progress further forward, we should have a bit of time looking at some of the core stones that we've missed and some of the other odd bits and bobs that might be important. For example, there's another furnace dimension core stone, there's hard mode up here, there's another Gaia Guardian fight though, I'm not sure if I actually want to do that. There's a few core stones you can only actually do in hard mode, and there's some other branches that we haven't really ventured very much into, as well as making lesser mana core, etc, etc. So I think we should finish off a few of these before we get into stuff like the Draconic Key. This is chapter 5, stage 5. We've got a little while before we even get that far, but I would like to just make sure anything I'm particularly interested in I've done. You know what? I'm wrong. I think we will need to do a bit more progression. I was going to make this Tartarite ore to be able to get into a few more of these quests up here, but despite it being over here, to use the Tartarite ore to get what we want, so we crush it into Tartarite dust, we'll be able to get the Eldritch Will crystals, which is what we need. We need Awakened Draconium, and we don't get that until we progress to fusion. So back to progression and to the fusion core, which I've been putting off for quite a while. I've set up automation for the Gravitite Enchanter. It's very simple. There's just an ender chest underground connected to an ME interface that feeds into this ender chest. I put it on blocking mode. I don't know if that's quite necessary, but I think it's probably important to have it like that. This goes into the Gravitite Enchanter, which exports straight back into the system. I also found one of the reasons for the garnets shortage, is actually because we're out of spatial matter. That's because I haven't set up an automation for it, because we weren't getting very many divine stars. I don't know if there's a way to get them a bit easier later on. Okay, we can make them using Draconic Evolution eventually, and nether stars, which is probably the easiest way, because at the moment we can only get them from the endergenic mythical void miner at a 5% chance. So that's the bottleneck at the moment. Actually, we didn't have very many. I just put another half stack into the crucible thing over here. Yeah, this thing, the spatial crucible. Just hopefully that'll last a little bit longer. I think I had 24 in last time and it lasted quite a while, so fingers crossed it'll be fine. While I'm waiting for a few bits and bobs to craft, I think I would actually like to make a Cantalian root farm, we've already got the tier 4 thing here, which is just doing with the skeleton. So if I swap it over to Cantalion, I think that would be useful because they're the ones that drop the Blood Master armor, and I think we're not really getting it very much from a mob farm. I think last time I checked we were on 2030. Yeah, we've had about 100 more, so it's really slowed down a lot. So I think making the Woot farm Cantalions, or whatever they're called, would be much more beneficial. They're Cadillions, not Cantalions, whatever I was saying. I am now able to make the looting upgrades for the Woot machine because we got rabbit foot from the scrap boxes. Or was it the lucky egg? I can't remember, but I got it somehow. The Woot farm is all set up. It works really well. We are filtering things to 3 different places. We have all the Blood Master stuff going to our processing system. We have Eden Souls and some of the shards, and we will be getting purple shards. They're just a bit rarer. It should be filtered into the main system, and anything else that I didn't really want is just going into the trash. I know that the intestines can drop some good things, but it doesn't really matter that much at this point. As long as we're getting the Blood Master armor and the Eden Souls, I think that's the main things that we want. So this is actually a very useful little farm that we set up. That just looks so cool. Helis is the best aspect in Thaumcraft. I've just figured out what those bricks from Eden were for, and it's to use with the inert spatial phaser to become the spatial phaser, I think. That's my idea. And that, I don't actually really know what it's used for. I think if you just use it, you get maybe a phasing gem, which is used in several infusion crafting recipes to do super enchantment. So you can enchant the Mythmanite stuff and also the Stellar armor, which I would actually quite like to do. But to get to the inert spatial phaser, we do need to go to Renia, which we are not quite at yet. We need the Renia artifact, which we should get fairly soon. We just need the Awakened Draconium, and these things are fairly easy. Thanks to our reactor setups, we do now have a block of Curium, which can be used to speed up the Gravitite Enchanter. Oh no, it doesn't speed it up, but it gives you a 95% fluid discount. If we get the Dark Star Collector eventually, which also takes the Curium block, we'll be able to speed it up, but this will just reduce the amount of liquid starlight that it uses. Okay, I have set up the fission reactor, or the fusion reactor. Very badly, I think, but it's fine. So I set it up just like the multi-block image that we get from clicking on it. I am inserting deuterium from our system over there. We'll probably need more in the future, but I assume this is enough for now. I've put cryo-stabilized flux ducts all around onto the fusion electromagnets because I saw someone else do that, so I think it might work. That is being powered by this flux point, and power from the actual reactor is going back into this flux plug. I've kept it off this because I thought having input and output on the same line would cause problems. I think when it heats up, it should start increasing the efficiency. We don't have that much deuterium, but we've got a fair amount. I made some mistakes with it, so I've got a couple extra random drums full of it, which I will put in there eventually. And it's producing us hydrogen, neutron fluid, helium, and tritium. Actually, quite a lot of tritium. Tritium is necessary for the draconic key, which is our next goal. We also need tritium to compress into tritium chunks, which are used to get to the next 8 dimensions using the draconic fusion crafting core and more realm stones. So this is quite necessary, but we seem to be getting quite a big production of it. I assume we'll run out of deuterium soon enough, but hopefully we'll have enough tritium for everything that we need by then. So yes, it did take a little while to craft, but it's all done now. While I was waiting for the fusion reactor to finish crafting, I did start creating the draconic key. So what are we missing? We are missing spatial pylons, ender feathers, just because I haven't actually taken them out of the ME system. Rift in a jar, which I think is fairly easy to make. Yep, fairly easy. And the other thing we need is this crystalline beryllium. And this is, it's probably not as hard as it looks. These are very easy to make. The emerald seed will mean we have to do a little bit of agrocraft, and we also need beryllium fluoride crystals. This means we need a mix of fluorine and molten beryllium, and then put this into a crystallizer. We only need 4, so it shouldn't be too hard. So this is just melting beryllium, and fluorine is from electrolyzing things like hydrofluoric acid, which we have quite a lot of, I think, in backlog, so that shouldn't be too difficult either. Welcome to the beryllium system. It's not fully automated because I don't think we'll need that much, but it's very, very simple. We have a melter down here, which is taking beryllium dust and converting it into molten beryllium. Above here, we have a hydrofluoric acid ender tank from the chemical processing over there. That goes into the electrolyzer. This converts into hydrogen and fluorine. Hydrogen goes into this drum. Yes, it is filtered this time, and fluorine will go into this drum. The fluorine comes straight back out again and goes back into the chemical reactor. The molten beryllium mixes with the fluorine to produce beryllium fluoride crystals. We only need 4. We've already got 2, so this process should be fine. I think we've buffered quite a lot of hydrofluoric acid. Fingers crossed. I will turn the system off when we have the 4 that we need. We've got 3 already, so we only need 1 more. And then all we need after that is the amaryllis seeds. I will be doing my MeatballCraft seeds just over here. I think we need to start with Finim, which is melon and pumpkin. We also need some gravel. This should be fairly easy to do. So these ores will only grow on their ore if it's buried underneath them, like so. So if we put gravel on top like this, below the ground, we can just put in a pumpkin and a melon, like so. Yep. We'll have to put a few more torches about. If I get a feral flare lantern, this should be fine, and then hopefully that will grow fairly quickly. Oh yeah, it's actually really fast. I don't know if fertilizer works on these. No, so we'll just have to wait, but it should be fairly fast, otherwise I will make the watering can. It may be not a great idea to do this under a slime island. Oh well. We have our first seed, we have the Finim seeds. And there we have it, after not too long, the amaryllis seeds. I just will do a couple copies of these just in case we ever need them again. We only need it once for this, but if we use this again, we need it for the ruthenium, which is used for other things, which I'm sure we'll need in the future. We should now be able to make our crystalline beryllium, just like so, and we'll just put that in the middle of the table. So now all we have left is the spatial pylons, the ender feather, and the tritium crystals, on the rift in the jar, which is very easy. To be able to make the rift in the jar, we need void seeds, and currently the only way we are getting void seed is through the flux rifts. However, if you have 3 void seeds, which we actually do now, we can make the void seedling, and this void seedling allows us to be able to use the phytogenic insulator to create more void seeds with void metal blocks, which we have millions of. So this is what we're going to do, and then we can get the 4 void seeds that we need for the rift in the jar, which technically actually we already have, but it's good to have the void seedling in case we ever need any ever again. My Thaumcraft jars keep deleting themselves. I just filled one with Kalis and I break it and yeah, that one did it too. I don't really know what's going on. I got these 2, but it's not all of them. And it's different types of jars. Some are mithrilium and some are void jars. So is it all of them? Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't be breaking them then. Is it if it lands on this? Is that the problem? No. Oh dear, I don't really know what's going on here. Okay, since I'm having a problem with the Essentia, I keep making it. I keep picking up jars and they keep just deleting themselves. We have enough void seeds to save to be able to make this, and we have managed at least to get the vitrium or vitium that we need to make the rift in a jar. So we're gonna just leave the void seed for now, just because it's just not working and I don't want to risk deleting more Essentia. I've already spent quite a while trying to get it to pick up. It's not really working with anything, not even the item dislocator that I was having on, so I'm not really sure what to do. So I'm just going to instead carry on and we'll leave the void seedling for now. Oh yes, and there is actually snow everywhere, and that's my fault because I was trying to use the harvest goddess part of the Arcana band to speed up the growth of seeds, and I got it stuck on the 0 ring and it made snow all over the place. So that's why there's snow around. Our fusion reactor seems to be doing well. We're actually producing quite a bit of RF, 300,000 I think. This was unstuck to it though, so I don't know if that was a visual glitch or an actual problem. This doesn't seem to need to take much power now, and we still seem to have quite a lot of deuterium left, surprisingly. I thought we would have run out by now. So we can use the crystallizer if I just connect this flux plug or point, whatever it is, to the top. Yep, we can now get tritium crystals, which is very nice. We need 8 for now, so I'll just take 8. We'll leave it running so that we can have the 64 we need for the realm stones. Oh, I am very, very, very stupid. Do you know where the jars are going? In here. That's where the jars are going. No, don't ask me how I am. I'm not good now. What do you mean they were just going into here? This is what you get when you don't filter things correctly. Oh my goodness, they're all just in here all this time. Right, well, hopefully I've got enough of everything now to be able to make the void seedling. Oh, typical. However, after all that confusion, I think it's about time we wrapped up the episode. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.